Coppernico Metals announced today channel samples intersecting 70.1 meters of 0.92% copper and 0.25% grams per ton gold at its Nioc property. Earlier this month, the company said it advanced its multi-kilometer Tipicancha copper-gold target ahead of initial drilling. Both are within the company's flagship Sombrero project in Peru. Ivan Bebek is chair, and CEO Ivan, welcome to Mining Stock Daily.
Great, thanks to be here.
Ivan, turning to Nioc, you wrote that these results, quote, materially de-risk initial drill target decisions by demonstrating continuous high-grade skarn mineralization.
Yes, these are incredible results, not just for the project, but globally. If you're following the global copper exploration sector, obviously on surface, we're channel sampling. We're using a rock saw. We're cutting across rocks. This extended 36 meters of 1% copper to pretty much double the width. When exploring for these copper systems on surface, we try to get as much data as we can before we guess what's beneath the surface. And we've done that by taking samples, mapping, and putting in electrical or magnetic currents into the ground and trying to figure out the shape of what kind of volume could exist beneath. What's really important to take away from the news is not only the width and the grade, which is almost double the average grade of every copper mine out there in the world. It helps with the probability that it implies with the rock saw. You're cutting actual physical rock that you're going to drill into later. If you look at the cross section where we take a slice of the earth, and if you read about Tim Kingsley's comments, our VP of exploration, you're seeing what's called an anticline. Basically, there was a body of rock that folded and it broke, and there's two limbs, and the top eroded off. And this is on one of the two limbs. We call it zone 2. And seeing that kind of width, which is the ideal width to have in a skarn system, and that kind of grade, it gives us a lot of confidence that this could be, quite substantial, both in terms of width, mining width potentially, and grade. What's not outlined very well in the news because of the volcanic cover or anywhere that we can show it yet, and this will come through drilling, is this target goes for about 3 kilometers long. And so this is a small window, basically, if you imagine the tip of an iceberg sticking through, but the signature that's beneath the surface that would correlate with the copper on surface goes for about 3 kilometers in length, which is world-class if it was to drill and be continuously mineralized. Skarns are variable. They will go in and out of really good grade, but at the end, they average really good grades. This project or this target in itself has gotten progressively better every time we've taken a new channel sample or done a new layer of data. The target got better and bigger and stronger from our speculation of probability. So it stands alone. As far as anything I've seen in the world that's accessible right now, is one of the top copper exploration projects that you could go and drill, or targets in particular. This project, Sombrero, it has 12 individual targets. We will get access to drill 7 of them here soon. And of those 7 that we're going to drill, each one could be a standalone company-making asset. And when I make that comment, each one has the potential to be a multi-billion-dollar company. The odds and the risks of finding 7 is beyond, reasonable. So you hope that 1 or 2 work out. But there's 2 out of the 7, both Nioc and Furaço, where we're going to drill next, that have the most pronounced surface expression. Furaço has 8 drill holes that already show the third dimension is there, both in grade and width. And so we're going to start drilling there next, and we'll work our way to drilling Nioc at the end of this year, sometime in the fourth quarter. You mentioned Tipicancha. This is about a 4 kilometer long target that's been developing over the past while. The results there are limited outcrop. Again, you've got 22 meters of 0.65% copper. The average global grade is about 0.5% copper. You see those little windows of rock outcropping, you get excited when you see grade, but we know less about what's underneath than we do know what's on surface because it's covered by pyrite and some volcanics. So we can't really get to all the rocks we're going to drill and explore, but the dimensions being about 4 kilometers long is truly world-class as well. In terms of Tipicancha, it's a porphyry target. This is a skarn target. Skarns are generally less tonnage, but higher grade. They're the most profitable type of copper mines in the world, but they're the hardest ones to find. And we have 2 or 3 targets that really have strong indications we're into it. The porphyry targets are more volume-based, and they generally tend to be lower grade, 0.5% copper, 0.4, somewhere in that range. The porphyry target makes a lot more sense here because it's in proximity to the skarn system. And so geologically, there's models for everything that we are exploring for. We've analoged Las Bambas. That's the about 10th largest copper producing mine in the world. That's 200 kilometers east of us. We've analoged it from rock type, geological setting, the date and era that it was formed in. And the difference between Sombrero and Las Bambas right now, besides a lot of drilling and the rest of the discovery, has been the slightly buried aspect. There's a volcano that erupted and covered a lot of rocks. So taking a step back, looking at the higher picture of what we're trying to achieve here, we're trying to find the next Las Bambas at a time where copper's in massive crisis. You've got major mines like Grasberg that have been shut down and that are going to take a couple years to come back online. You've got demand skyrocketing through electrification. And now we're on the verge of getting permits to drill one of the most exciting copper exploration drill stories of the business.
Ivan, you've got a lot of targets here, and I want to talk about how you're going to be prioritizing those when you're doing your drilling. But first, I just want to stick with Nioc for 1 second. And you did have an anomaly below surface. I'm just wondering what type of relationship you're speculating on, what you're seeing with surface down below what's happening at depth.
Yeah, so a really good indication has been we put an electrical signal into the ground and we look to see how long the charge is held to replicate potentially copper and gold. It could also identify other metals, but because we have an abundance of copper and gold on surface, we have confidence that the signal goes down at least 750 meters. Open pits are usually 300 to 400 meters down, so there's incredible depth extent. When you go to this part of the project, there's quite a bit of outcrop. We're able to map the rocks on surface and look at the angle of the skarn mineralization. And that's what we've put in an image there to show you that we have an idea of which way these two zones are dipping. So we'll drill perpendicular to those zones and we'll drill down from surface down 300 or 400 meters in the first phase of drilling when we get here. But that depth extent is significant. It's absolutely significant. It's encouraging to see that. We've done a gravity survey. Why? Because gravity helps identify rock density in this part of these big skarn systems. We're seeing a correlation between the density of the rock as well as the grade of mineralization. If all three are there, it's very positive. And the third layer is magnetic currents. We're looking to look for a rock that's called magnetite. Magnetite tends to be associated with all the high-grade copper gold skarns as well, not just in the region, but specifically at Sombrero. We have fingerprinted this signature off the 8 drill holes at Furaço. It overlaps here perfectly and goes for the 2-3 kilometers in length and has that 750 meter down depth extension. So the probability of scale is tremendous. The exciting part that's really separating Nioc from any target I've seen out there is the grade, and grade is king. Grade determines profitability. You crush and move less rock to return profits much quicker and much bigger profit margins. And this project has not only grade, but also has scale.
Ivan, what are you thinking in terms of your drilling strategy? How do you kind of organize the assets and the priorities? You've got the Furaço, Nioc, and now Tipicancha.
Yeah, so there's a few more. There's Chumpi North, there's Chumpi, and there's Corrales. I believe there's 7 altogether. So we have a permit where we could drill from 38 pads. We did some initial drilling last year, and we stopped early with a lot of discipline to figure out what study could really enhance these targets further. And that was tighter geophysics, more detailed geophysics, and including gravity, which is very important. So what we did next is we looked at which ones were outcropping, which ones were the most advanced. And the one that is the start of a discovery is called Furaço. There's 8 holes there, about 25 million tons of mineralization. We are going to start drilling that first this summer once this big permit comes in. The permit gives us access to 181 drill pads, and it also allows us to use multiple drill rigs so we can scale any kind of success we're having. This permit does not include Nioc at this time. We are applying for a different permit later this year for Nioc, but we anticipate getting to Nioc in the 4th quarter. But starting at Furaço, we're going to start expanding a copper discovery. And there's some very obvious aspects to this expansion. The biggest risk right now, we don't know whether it's Furaço or Tipicancha or any of these targets. We know the copper's there at Furaço. We just don't know how much of it and how rich it's going to be, which is the perfect problem to have in a rising copper market. right? As far as Nioc, when you speculate, Nioc's the biggest and it's the richest signature on the property today. So there's a lot of potential in Nioc, but Chumpi or Corrales, some of these other ones that are slightly buried with 5 or 10 meters of volcanic cover on top of the rocks, they could be monster discoveries. We don't know that. And so it's really a what lies beneath story. And the two obvious areas are going to drive tremendous value starting at Furasso this summer. And it's going to give us a lot more copper than we have. And it's going to start to build a resource. But at the same time, we're going to have some incredible high risk, but potentially massive reward targets. And when I make these emphasis towards size potential, you look at not just Las Bambas, you look at Anticapai, you look at Constancia, you look at Tintaya, or Los Chanzos next door to us, 100 kilometers away. And these are all major mines in Peru. Why Peru? Because Peru has some of the largest copper mines in the world. Cerro Verde is number 3 or 4. It has Yanacocha, that's a 61 million ounce gold mine. That's the endowment that has attracted us to Peru. And a lot of our surface work has really identified that over the last 10 years as we unlock the social aspects of getting in through the communities. So, it's what our goal was to go find a big mine or multiple big mines. That's great. But could we set up the company to have some of the best large scale targets in the world, with some that are obvious and some that are mysterious at the same time as we enter the copper crisis? And we have successfully done that. And we're in the eve, later today, I'm expecting a permit update of some sort that's consequential that will give us a good runway here to when the drills can actually start turning. So very, very exciting time. Major targets, incredible grades in the ones that are exposed, incredible mystery and big signatures beneath the surface in the ones that are not. And this will be the start of a multi-phase drill program that will really reveal the true upside of Sombrero in the next 18 months. And that's a timeline everyone should consider, whether you own us, whether you've held us for 10 years. And thank you very much for your patience. The project has gotten better. There are more large targets than there were when we started, which is a massive upgrade to the project. But the next 18 months is going to be that catalytic event in what's called the Pierre-Lassonde curve when you go through discovery. And it's really why I'm in the business. The first company that I was part of building, we went from 49 cents to $9 per share in the discovery of 5 million ounces of gold. This is like taking 7 different shots at that same type of a discovery, with 2 of the 7 being, a lot more obvious with some copper already there to start with. So the risk's lower, and the other 5 being mysterious. So it's a great story. It's perfect timing for the copper cycle. Those who don't know copper well and hear it's important for everything we use, copper's problem is time and grade. The grade of copper mines is declining, meaning they're less rich, meaning they're going to be slower to provide copper. And the time to bring on lower grade mines or new copper mines is decades, not hours or months or days or weeks, right? And that's going to be what really compounds over the next few years, as I think copper prices are going to go well above current price levels as we're making this discovery. Mines are not being found anymore. We have a table in our presentation that shows you the last decade of mines that have not been found versus the ones that have been found before. And so very few mines in the last 10 years, and a much steeper demand curve due to technologies in front of us. So that's the timing. The share price is starting to react. We are starting to get more public with our story, not just because we have great news, but we're about to start the most exciting part here in the next 60 days. We plan to start drilling and creating real value for shareholders.
Ivan Bebek, thank you to speak with Mining Stock Daily.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being here.
The information presented should not be considered investment advice. Mining Stock Daily and its affiliates are not responsible for any loss arising from any investment decision in connection with the material presented herein. Please do your own research or speak with a licensed financial representative before making any investment decisions.